Hello, everyone. Welcome back to our English podcast. I'm Emma.
And I'm Mike. We're thrilled to have you with us today. We have a fun and informative episode lined up for you.
That's right, Mike. Today, we're going to discuss common mistakes in English. These are errors that almost every English learner makes at some point.
Absolutely. We'll cover everything from grammar and vocabulary to pronunciation and common phrases. And we'll do it with a bit of humor because learning should be fun, right?
Exactly, Mike. So let's dive right in.
Section 1. Grammar mistakes.
Let's start with grammar. One of the most common mistakes is mixing up tenses. For example, saying, I have seen him yesterday, instead of I saw him yesterday.
Oh yes, that's a classic one. Another one is using I and me incorrectly. For example, me and John went to the store, instead of John and I went to the store.
Yes, and let's not forget subject-verb agreement. Saying, he go to school, instead of he goes to school. It's a small mistake, but it makes a big difference.
Definitely. Here's a fun exercise. I'll say a sentence with a mistake, and you try to correct it. Ready?
Ready.
She don't like pizza.
It should be, she doesn't like pizza.
Perfect. Listeners, feel free to pause and repeat the corrected sentences. Section 2. Vocabulary mistakes.
Now, let's talk about vocabulary. A common mistake is confusing words that sound similar but have different meanings, like affect and effect.
Oh, I've seen that one trip up even native speakers. Another tricky pair is borrow and lend. People often say, can you borrow me a pen? Instead of, can you lend me a pen?
Good point, Mike. And then there's advice and advise. Remember, advice is a noun and advise is a verb.
Right. Here's another exercise. I'll say 2 words, and you tell me which is the correct one to use in a sentence. Ready?
Let's do it.
Effect or effect.
Effect as a noun and effect as a verb.
Great job. Listeners, make sure to practice these distinctions. Section 3. Pronunciation mistakes.
Pronunciation can be really challenging. One common mistake is mispronouncing the they sound, as in think and this. Many learners pronounce it as S or Z.
Yes, that's a tough one. Another is the difference between live and leave. They might sound similar, but they have completely different meanings.
Exactly. And let's not forget about silent letters. Words like knife and wrist often trip people up.
Here's a fun pronunciation exercise. I'll say a word and you repeat it. Ready, Emma?
Ready.
Night.
Night.
Wrist.
Wrist.
Great job. Listeners, try this at home too. Section 4. Common phrase mistakes.
Now let's move on to common phrases. A big one is saying I'm agree instead of I agree.
Yes, and another is I'm thinking to go instead of I'm thinking of going.
Good catch, Mike. And let's not forget, could you borrow me a pen instead of could you lend me a pen?
Right, here's an exercise. I'll say a common phrase with a mistake and you correct it. Ready, Emma?
Ready.
I'm looking forward to meet you.
It should be I'm looking forward to meeting you.
Perfect. Listeners, practice these corrections to improve your fluency. Section 5. Humor break.
All right, time for a little humor. Mike, have you ever heard of the joke about the punctuation marks?
No, I haven't. Tell me.
Why did the comma break up with the apostrophe?
I don't know why.
Because it was too possessive.
That's a good one, Emma. Here's one for you. Why was the math book sad?
Why?
Because it had too many problems.
I love it. Learning English can be fun too.
Section 6. Practice makes perfect.
Now, let's put some of this into practice. I'll say a sentence with a common mistake, and you can correct it, Mike. Ready?
Ready.
She go to the market every day.
It should be, she goes to the market every day.
Good job. Here's another one. He don't like ice cream.
He doesn't like ice cream.
Perfect. And one more. Can you borrow me a book?
Can you lend me a book?
Excellent. Listeners, keep practicing these corrections.
Section 7. Interactive Q&A.
Now, let's do something interactive. We'll read some common mistakes sent in by our listeners and correct them. Ready, Mike?
Absolutely.
Here's one from John in Brazil. I didn't went to the party.
It should be, I didn't go to the party.
Great. And another from Maria in Spain. She likes chocolate, isn't it?
It should be, she likes chocolate, doesn't she?
Perfect. Thanks, listeners, for sending in your sentences. Keep them coming.
Section 8. Closing tips.
Before we wrap up, let's share some final tips. One of the best ways to avoid common mistakes is to read and listen to a lot of English. The more you expose yourself to the language, the more natural it will become.
Absolutely, Emma. And don't be afraid to make mistakes. They're a natural part of the learning process.
Great advice, Mike. Also, practice speaking as much as you can. Find a language partner, join a speaking club, or even talk to yourself in the mirror.
And remember, consistency is key. Practice a little bit every day, and you'll see improvement over time.
We hope you found this episode on common mistakes in English helpful and enjoyable.
Yes, and remember to practice the corrections we discussed today. The more you practice, the more confident you'll become.
Don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more English learning podcasts and leave a comment with any questions or topics you'd like us to cover.
We'd love to hear from you. See you in the next episode.
Bye for now.
Bye.